Welcome to Conversations from the Barn at Everwood Farmstead. These are casual chats with visiting artists. Creaky barn, bugs, and all. Enjoy.
We should do like the ASMR where we like rub the microphone with spoons and
Welcome to Conversations in the Barn.
I like whisper the whole thing.
You get your mouth like really
There it is. Nailed it.
Yeah.
You're hired. One way to do it, and then there's like, this is NPR.
Yeah.
Conversations from the Barn.
Welcome to Conversations from the Barn. I am so happy to be here tonight, number one, with Ellie Eckloff.
Hello.
So happy you're by my side on this beautiful summer evening.
No, I made Bill dissolve and I took his place tonight. So
Welcome.
yes, I'm filling big shoes, but it's gonna be just fine.
It's going to be terrific. Yeah, and it's a Friday night, and we've enjoyed this week with our two artists on retreat. New friends have been basking in their energy coming from the barn and the retreat house. And so I would love for you both to introduce yourself and maybe your art form.
I'm Katrina Vandenberg, and I live in St. Paul, Minnesota, where I write essays and poetry.
My name is Keighley. My artist name is Cutesy Macabre. I'm from Milwaukee, and I'm a muralist, illustrator, and painter, and I also make monsters.
Did you make a monster this week?
I did. I made a cryptid of the barn at Everwood. Yeah, so that was a lot of fun using materials I found on the farmstead and inspired by the farmstead.
And so what does that look like?
Creepy. No,
Beautiful.
Quite beautiful, I
Thank
would
you.
say. I agree.
It looks like doing a lot of foraging, of collecting plant life that I found around Everwood, and then also taking inspiration for the form and shape and sort of composition from the animals and creatures that exist at the Everwood farmstead, most notably the goats, chickens, and moths that I spent time with here. Yeah.
That's quite a combination.
It is. It is. It sounds like it would look creepier, but it turned out actually kind of pretty in an unexpected turn of events.
Yeah, you had shown us some of your previous creature costumes, and so when you were like, "It's time," I was a little apprehensive to come in. I'm like, "Oh God, okay," and then it's a beautiful, beautiful piece of work.
Thank you.
Just so gorgeous.
Yeah, she's less spooky than I thought she would be, but I think that's really speaks also to Everwood as a place. You know, I came in thinking it was going to be a scary, spooky cryptid that was going to haunt the barn, and instead she's sort of a helpful cryptid for composting and harvest and like death and birth and renewal. And she is made of mostly natural materials, so she's going to end up decomposing pretty quickly. Even by the end of the night, most of her features will be wilted and already on their way to no longer being as beautiful as they once were. And I think that's kind of neat. I only wanted her to exist while I was here in the barn, and then not after, except for pictures or our memories.
All right, there's another book that I want to share with you.
Yeah.
There's an incredible author named Sophie Strand,
Okay.
and she's hard to describe her background. She is a researcher, but she researches mythology around the myths of our animate beings and mythological creatures and earth creatures and gods and the ways that we've distorted them over time. And one of the things that she talked about, and I love that both of you are holding the concepts of birth and death and cycle of nature and life and all the rest of it, is composting. That almost all the gods came from the earth.
Yeah.
And when it was their time to go, many would bury themselves back into the earth.
Ugh.
And she has a chapter, it's very provocative, maybe this will be on the podcast, maybe not, about Jesus and why he's problematic. because he was the first God that he was composted into the earth, and then he came out, rose, and he became a sky god.
Oh.
He was the first one that didn't compost. And so it was the first moment that there was separation between us as earth beings and God.
It's really interesting.
And I find that fascinating.
And it's funny you should mention it because we've been talking about compost a lot this week.
Have you?
Well, yeah, because I mean, one of the many cool things about the farmhouse is that you compost. And so we have that little compost pail by the stove, and we're putting things in it, and we were joking about how many coffee grounds we had, and then we were joking about just how much coffee must be in your soil because of all the artists coming through. And
owners.
And you
full
too.
confession.
Yeah.
And
And
Kelly.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. But we were talking about it a lot, and I'll let you talk about yours in just a second, but I had been just saying one of the joys to me of the cryptid this week was that I got to see it immediately, and I always think about when experiences enter me as being sort of like a compost pile inside me, and that it's not till it breaks down. I won't know until later. This stuff's all going to show up at some point, but I don't know exactly when or how. But you were speaking about it in a much more immediate way, and I'm wondering if you might want to say.
Yeah, well, what's really great is that that's where the mythos came from that I created for my cryptid was we were talking about the compost, and she was saying that we should do a ritual at the end where all of the flowers and stuff from the cryptid, that we should compost them so it feeds future artists. And I loved that so much. And after that conversation is when I came up with the cryptid's purpose and its mythology, and it was based on composting, and it was from the conversation that you and I had. So it really speaks to the benefit of having two artists here. I feel like my practice was so surprisingly influenced by our conversation. Not that I didn't think it would be, but so much more than I thought it would be. That conversation lodged into my head, and then it composted a little bit. It broke down, and then I realized that I wanted the cryptid to be, I knew I wanted it to be a harvest cryptid, but what it does is the cryptid will come to your farm or your land and will, in the middle of the night, drop off a bunch of flowers or dead flowers, both, and you can't move the compost pile. And if you use it for your future harvest for that year, you will have a very bountiful harvest. But if you don't use it, or you move the compost pile, then the night before you harvest your plants, they all get chopped with the scythe and immediately rot. And that was born from the conversation that we had. It struck me at, 2 a.m. after we had spoken before you went to bed. And so I feel so thankful.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
It's mutual.
Yeah, you really influenced it. It was great. Yeah.
How fruitful it must be for you, Katrina, to be having these conversations with maybe not a writer, but another artist that's also working with the natural world. How was Keighley's perspective on the natural world influential to your work this week?
Oh, in so many ways, and ways that I didn't really expect going in. I love being around people who work in different art forms because somebody had mentioned to me once that writing is the only art form whose media is not inherently sensual. That people who are painters are working with paints, and people, sculptors are working with clay, and musicians can immediately hear those sounds and the notes and hold the instruments. But language is abstract symbols on the page, and I'd been joking and saying, nobody, when you have pictures of a residency, it's just so much nicer. You get all these great pictures of something like this. All you would get of a writer is them frowning at a notebook or a computer. That's all you get. And so just to be around somebody working so much with movement and color and tangible things, because I've been writing about cosmos flowers and asters, flowers from the aster family all week, and it was just so cool to see how many of them were actually going to be, in the cryptid mask. And then I think that even ended up affecting the eye shape and everything like that. And I will back up and explain to you what is special about flowers from the aster family.
Yes, please.
Yeah, well, I've been writing about AIDS in the 80s and 90s because my first partner had hemophilia, and when he was 12, he contracted HIV from the blood supply, and so did his older brother. So I ended up getting involved with him in college, and part of this activist family who had been doing just a lot of work with hemophilia and HIV, and we ended up working on a newsletter together, and and that dovetailed into work that was already being done by ACT UP and Gay Men's Health Crisis in New York. But anyway, the flowers I've been writing about, to me, connect to all that because something special about the aster family is that they're not the oldest family of flowers, but they are the most successful family of flowers. And the reason, and this happens even though their pollen is too heavy to float on the wind, but if you look at any of the flowers, like sunflowers or daisies or coneflowers or dandelions, any of those really ordinary ones, the middle is not really just a center of the flower. It's actually hundreds of tiny flowers. And they all have pollen, and they all create this like really easy landing pad with really bright petals around it, and make themselves sort of, as available to a pollinator as possible. And so bugs or bees or whatever, are attracted, land in the center, and carry it away. And it just reminds me so much of activism and organizing, that idea of, just people working together and bringing everything together like that. So that's what I was working on. And then, lo and behold, tell us about the eyes and the cryptid mask.
We had that conversation over coffee. I had just gotten up. It was probably 2 p.m. And Katrina had already been working for a while. And we met and we talked about the aster flowers. And then I came out and started working and was looking up references for the bees because I had gone and thanked the bees for the honey and then came back and really wanted to bring that into the mask and was looking at a picture of the eyes. And I ran inside with my phone and I was like, Katrina, look at this picture of bees' eyes. It's like an aster flower.
Yeah.
Because it's just that like super concentrated, and in the Fibonacci sequence too. It was just, but we had just spoken about it and it was so great to immediately see that and then also bring that into my work. I really feel like our work just sort of
At that moment,
it just like collided in a really beautiful way. There was a lot of influence. It was just such really a terrific week. I really felt so inspired by you, by your work, by your writing is so stunning. And so like those little conversations that we would have just over coffee had such results like in the final product, I so many flowers and then thinking about the aster flower and then really wanting to bring that into the creature. It was just, I don't know, it was very neat. It was really remarkable.
It really was. And I'll just add a quick trivia fact, which is in a giant sunflower, there's as many as 1,000 tiny flowers in the middle. And see, I feel like what you brought me was color and whimsy and play and delight. I did not stay up for the meteor shower. You remember this week was supposed to be like the big week for the meteor shower. And I wasn't able to do it. And there was this part of me that was just like, you go to bed at 9:30, all this magic's happening. And then it did turn out that you didn't see any.
Nope.
But I just want to share this amazing fact, which is that Keighley had some glitter makeup here and put all these gold sparkles on her face and went outside alone to wait for those meteors.
To greet the meteor.
Yes.
Yes.
And
I
I
to dress
thought,
up for the meteors.
who does that, but I had just been writing in my notebook that I just felt like I needed more play. And, it doesn't sound like that should matter for, that art should be serious. But that really matters. And I had just been saying this, and then look who appears from Milwaukee with her glitter makeup.
So can I ask you? I mean, you did not know each other before you got the invitation to Everwood, and here we are, in the intimate exchange of creativity and curiosity and wonder and new friendship. What did that journey look like for the two of you?
It felt so instant. It felt so quick. I met Katrina because we had emailed, just sent like a couple back and forth, and then we were talking about the bedrooms, and you had been so considerate. She was trying to make sure that she was going to sleep in there are the 3 bedrooms, and there's one with like a smaller bed, and then there are 2 queen beds, and she was in the smaller bed because why did you?
Because the bedroom that went with what is traditionally the writer's studio had the air conditioner in it for when it's warmer, and that's something nice about the house is that you can have the windows open, or if it's hot, but you can use the air conditioner. But I have trouble with like white noise, and I thought. I said to Ellie, like, I can't do this, and Ellie's like, that's okay, and I said, well, and I had thought, I don't want to just give this to Keighley in case Keighley can't deal with it either. So I said, I'll sleep in the little community room with the twin bed. And then Keighley comes and is like, I love white noise.
I was like, I don't even have to use my white noise machine. This is perfect. And then she was going to stay in that twin bed. I was like, get out of there. We can both have a big bed.
It's just like, we can both win here, Katrina. She says, teamwork is dream work.
Teamwork makes the dream work. And but just from that moment, there was so much consideration that I felt immediately from, the emails were great themselves. I got to learn so much about Katrina, and I had read her book, one of her books. So I already felt like I knew her in that sense because I got a really intimate peek into her art before I got here. And again, I love your work. I love your work. Everyone should go and read her book. Atlas is the one that I have and read and we spoke about, and I have the other one too. But I don't know, like from that moment, it was just easy. It didn't feel like there was like a getting to know you phase. It was like a continuing to know you phase. And I think I said either today or yesterday, I don't know, time isn't real. I said if I had found out that we were like distantly related or something, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
It just was that easy. And there are so many things that we're on the same wavelength for. And then there is this balance that we create with our different energies that has just been so, for me, it's been so grounding and calming and peaceful. And especially with, I work pretty intensely, and I had a very specific idea of what I wanted to accomplish in just a couple days. So my energy can be more sort of frenetic and intense and passionate.
And I love that.
And that's great. But it was so lovely to wake up and have Katrina be sitting there like, hello. And just like this like gentle conversation and talking about the chickens and flowers. And it felt like waking up in like a warm bath or something, or just like that level of comfort that you immediately bring to a space was so grounding for me. It really gave me that balance. We had talked about like the self-care versus like production, and I feel like Katrina, just by existing, just by your presence, really made me pay attention to that, to like the feeling of calm that you exude, the feeling of just like presence is intoxicating, and I wanted to also inhabit that. So it made me sort of like look at myself and try to bring that to myself too,
It feels like the two of you carried a yin-yang kind of balance for each other. Even, the hours that you worked, and you were telling us before we started, this precious moment of like intersection that even fueled both of you in a way that you needed it.
Yeah.
It worked so well because Keighley would come in from the barn at 5 a.m. And I would wake up, and it wasn't because I heard, I did hear you, but it was also because I was used to getting up at 5. I've been sleeping until 7, you know, and I would lie there thinking, should I get up or should I wait? And then we would have that kind of, it was usually between noon and 3 where we would intersect. But yeah, and then weird coincidences, like our family goes to Milwaukee once a year to take the ferry to Michigan, and it turns out that the hotel where we stay is about 3 blocks from Keighley's house.
Yeah, she's like intimately familiar with my neighborhood, like Glorioso's, the local Italian market that I love to go to. She showed me she has
I have an insulated bag from there.
I was putting the final touches on the mask, and she was like, I just had to show you. Look at this. It's my insulated Glorioso's bag. It's just so fun. Like, Milwaukee, it's a small city, but it's still a city. And the fact that where you're familiar with is within my neighborhood.
3 blocks.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it seemed really, I mean, I'd written in my journal, I feel like the universe sent me Keighley, you know? And
I feel the same. I feel the same.
So I don't know how you did it, but that was gonna be our question for you. How'd you do that?
That was 10% me and 90% the universe.
Okay.
Sure. Well, thank you to both of you guys. Yeah, that's great.
Good job, universe.
We're trying to
Good job,
dance
you.
too.
We're just all dancing around here.
Christian.
I do have a question.
I saw it on your face.
Is it? It's not the final question.
No, it's not.
I'm full of questions. I'm loaded with questions. I just feel like this week, let me remember our spirit animals. I was butterfly. Keighley was
Bear.
Eagle.
Katrina was eagle. And there's just been this weird, glorious energy this week. Like, the farm has been coated in flowers and 7 gajillion butterflies, and it has felt more alive out here. And we're hopping with nature all the time out here, but this week especially has just felt really significant. Like, Katrina, when you drove in, there was that deer that crossed your path, and you're like, that's a sign. And when
It's been a deer freeway out here this week.
We've seen that.
And I don't know if you have both noticed some sort of like energetic shift for your lives too, and I want to know how you're going to take that with you. Ooh. Yeah.
Well, first, let me say real quick, I saw an eagle my first full day here. I drove to the store, and I saw an eagle hanging out with 3 crows, and so I came back home. I was like, Katrina, I saw an eagle, and it made me think of you, which was so fun.
I regret to report I have seen no bears.
Dang.
But it's, you know, the
Probably
bears,
for the
it might
better.
be later.
Yeah.
It is a rare thing.
Well, yeah, because they get scared, right?
I did have a dream about a bear last night, though, for the first time. I was wondering if a bear was going to show up for me because I'm up so late. I was wondering. No bears, but I did have a bear in my dream. So, yeah.
Yeah. I've noticed a lot of deer. I got to see the mother with the 2 fawns. They had a bunch of leaves in their mouths. And I was walking toward where the bees are, and these 2 little fawns turned to me, and they've all got all these green leaves in their mouth, like they're eating salad. The monarchs are passing through on their way to Mexico, it looks like, right now.
Yeah.
I've seen a bunch of them.
So many butterflies, yeah.
Yeah, and bugs. The chickens are a blast.
Oh, my gosh.
That has been something that's been really delightful here, is the chickens and we haven't seen the goats more than once. The goats have been
Hiding.
secretive.
Elusive?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
They just have disappeared. We've looked for them even.
One day I walked the path. I walked all 3. I went to the bees, the outlook, and the prairie. Didn't come across a single goat. It was so strange.
That's very interesting.
You had that conversation with me, and then I went out to feed them, and they all came.
Did they really?
Yeah.
I wonder if I spooked them. The first night at like 10:30 p.m., I went into the goat pen and I gave them a concert. I played Claire de Lune on my phone. I loved it. Maybe they didn't. Maybe they're not fans.
Were you showing up with the mask on?
No.
It wasn't even made.
No, it wasn't even me. It was just me, and I was like, I want to play for you guys a little ditty I think you'll enjoy. And the goats stood on the wood pile and stared at me.
2 weeks ago, we had an artist that every morning with her, she'd walk out with her coffee cup and her guitar, and she would serenade the goats.
And they like that.
So they
okay.
should be used to.
Well, maybe they like guitar. Maybe it's not classical
Maybe
music.
it might be.
Yeah.
Maybe. They're picky.
They may not like the Impressionists.
Sure.
That's
and
okay.
you know, it's not for every. It's
Yeah.
that music is not for them. Or
Indie folk. That's
Yeah.
what they're into.
that's what they're looking for. You know what's so funny too? I do want to answer your question about the animals, but talking about the chickens. Before I came here, I had a fear of chickens. Like I've literally been afraid of chickens my whole life. I can't explain it. And within a minute and a half of meeting the chickens here, I was like, oh, I am no longer afraid of chickens. I was telling people in my life and everyone was completely shocked. But you go out and you say, hey ladies, and they just come waddle running at you just to say hi. I think I have 15 videos at least on my phone of them charging at me. I think I'm gonna make a video of just the chickens running at me.
The trick is get rid of the rooster,
Oh yeah. Yeah, get them out of
and
there.
then everybody calms down.
And they were so
There are metaphors in that.
yeah, and I hear that.
Well, they have, the chickens were a blast. I thought I saw the goats, and it turned out to be all those deer.
Yeah.
I've been thinking of, writing is weird work in that there's a lot that happens. It's probably true of all arts, but it happens inside for a long time before you see it come out on the page. There's a Rilke quote about how the future enters us long before it happens. And I feel like whatever it is I know about that eagle, about, being fearless and losing control, and, I feel like, again, it will come out, it's going to come out some rainy day, Saturday in November or something, and I would love to see that stuff more immediately, but the longer I've done this, the more I just trust it'll come when it's ready.
That's great.
Yeah, I love that. I remember that looking at the card, it talked about hibernation and waking up, and I suffered from really bad allergies this week, and so much so that my whole Tuesday was completely shot. I don't think I maybe did one panel of my corset, so it was mostly, I lost Tuesday completely. And I remember while I was dealing with the allergies and just feeling completely out of it, and maybe being a little bit upset, thinking about hibernation and the balance of hibernation and rest and productivity. And I was like, you know what? Hibernation is a part of it. That's part of nature. And so I sort of let go of that expectation of productivity to find that balance between rest and productivity. And that felt really nice. And I think that's something I'm going to take with me, is not just the waking out of hibernation, but the importance of the hibernation itself to the waking. Everything goes in cycles. I feel like that's been a really big theme this week too. It's life and death and sleeping and waking, and everything sort of has its own turn. And as an artist, there are times when I'm not creating as much art, and I feel like there is, especially with social media, there's a real sort of idea that you should be creating all the time. If you are not creating every single day or multiple times a day, there's something wrong with you, or you won't succeed. And I don't think that that's true. I think that rest is just as important to productivity as the doing. And I think that finding that balance in the conversation, Chris, that you and I had when we met, was talking about that, the balance between doing and self-care makes becoming. And I've thought about that so much this week, and then paralleled that to the bear with hibernation and waking. And so that's been really in my headspace. And I feel like that is a thought I'm going to be thinking about for the rest of the year at least. But that really stuck with me. Yeah.
It feels like it's time for a final question, and I wonder if you would like to offer your version of it.
I've got a really good one in the chamber right now.
All right.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear it.
It's classic. It's what we always like to end our conversation on.
Okay.
And the question is, what did you find beautiful today?
This is going to be so corny, and I'm going to try to not get overwhelmed. But I loved it when I was finishing my mask and you came down to show me that Glorioso's bag. I feel like all the nature is obviously beautiful, like the flowers, the animals, the nature, the place is like so stunning. But what I'm leaving with is like the beauty of that connection, the friendship that we formed, that sort of the bond. And like I was downstairs playing classical music and like gluing flowers to this cryptid mask, and Katrina comes down to show me this insulated grocery bag from the Italian grocery like 3 blocks away from where I live. And that just like,
You felt seen.
I felt seen, and to be seen is to be loved. And it just felt, there was that connection and sort of the culmination of the week. And like, she wanted to show it to me and I wanted to see it. And it was like such a simple thing. An insulated grocery bag doesn't feel like it would be maybe the most beautiful thing, but I think that was my most beautiful thing today in the end, actually.
I love that.
Yeah.
How about for you?
I will do my best not to mention the little deer we have all seen walking behind us.
Right now.
Yeah, and this might end up becoming more of a question after we stop, but I was just noticing how beautiful the barn was. And, we were taking photographs of Keighley's cryptid mask and corset before the plants wilt. And something that she and I had talked about was that, neither of us has done tons of residencies, but we've both been especially taken by the beauty of Everwood and how it's a beauty that seems like it's something that the people who put together the house really took their time with small details. And we've walked around the house together and looked up at the light fixtures and things like that. And so I was thinking about that again today as I was getting my camera ready and looking at the strings of light in the barn, that there's both the natural beauty here but also very particular curated beauty. And that I think Everwood seems like a work of art to me too.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
So, well, thank you. Yeah.
Very much. Thank you so much.
We're so grateful the two of you said yes.
We're so grateful to have been offered the opportunity.
Yeah.
Holy moly.
You let us say yes.
Yeah. What a profound
And you
experience.
said yes.
Yeah.
And you said yes to each other.
Yeah.
And you showed up with your full hearts this week, and we got to experience that and bask in the glow of it.
Yeah, such a joy. Such a joy.
Would you please stay in touch? Let us know how your art
It would be
touches the world.
our honor.
Yeah.
We would love it.
Us too.
Thank you so much.
Guys,
Thank you guys.
Now we got to go do a happy dance together.
Okay.
Thanks for listening to Conversations from the Barn at Everwood Farmstead. Our theme music is provided by John Mark Nelson. Wishing you all good health.